Hi, my name is Tara Argel and I'm the founder and creator of Trailblazing Communications. I'm here today to talk to you about a topic that's been kind of a hot topic lately, and it's trauma. Trauma plays a big role in our lives. It manifests in our bodies, in our lives, in our relationships, and everywhere. And trauma is something that we all experience in many different ways. There's lots of things that cause trauma. It could be an accident that you are involved in, abuse of any kind. If you grew up in kind of a painful childhood, maybe you were exposed to long-term abuse, that has a huge effect. If you were in a difficult situation for a long period of time, maybe an abusive relationship, a marriage, or a roommate situation. Any kind of surgery that you go through is traumatic for your body and traumatic for you. If your sons and husbands had circumcisions are very traumatic for babies. Adoption, even though it has a positive side to it, adoption also carries a lot of trauma with it, with those babies being whisked away from the heartbeat and the voice of their mother that they've been accustomed to for 9 months. Anytime we're uprooted in any way, maybe we have to move when we're little, maybe we have to relocate for reasons outside of our control, that can cause it. Losing a job or home. And also how we see the world can create trauma. If we see the world as dark and scary, that can affect us in a way that creates trauma as well. The other thing I want to talk about, and this isn't commonly known, but our ancestors all have their experiences too. And the reason that I want to bring this topic up is because we're seeing in our work with Trailblazing Communications how huge of a role it plays in health and healing to be able to clear trauma. And here's the thing that most people don't understand or know is that we get a cocktail of all the trauma for all our ancestral lines on each side of all the unresolved trauma that is carried by our grandmas and our great-grandmas and our great-greats, and as far back that lineage, because that DNA just keeps getting passed on and on and on. So if there's any trauma in there in the DNA that's passed on to you at conception, you will have effects of that, even though you did not physically, emotionally go through that trauma. So if you have ancestors that were part of the Holocaust or the Great Depression or war or any of those things, even if you don't know those ancestors, you are affected by it. So trauma creates stuck energy. It creates energy, I'll call them bombs, energy bombs that get lodged in your body in some way, and they're attached to the emotions and the experience of whatever that trauma is. There's typical spots our body will place different emotions. It's not always and exact. Your lungs are usually where grief is stored, as well as your large intestine. So if you have lung issues and large intestine issues, you might want to do a little looking and find out, what kind of trauma you might be carrying that is around grief. If you have spleen issues, spleen is about worry. Our heart has to do with trusting, and I know there is an epidemic of people not trusting anybody or anything anymore, and so that's around our heart. And if we'll close our heart down and shut it down and not be able to be open to love and relationships and enjoyment and all those things. The small intestine is related to overwhelm. So if you lived in a long-term situation that was difficult, you probably have small intestine issues. Liver is associated with anger. So if you carry a lot of anger, you probably have some sort of liver issues. Gallbladder is associated with decision making. So if you struggle with decision making or overwhelmed with decision making, you'll probably have gallbladder issues or gallbladder stones. And the kidneys are associated with fear. So if you live in fear, or if you've been through a traumatic event that hasn't been resolved or healed, you will probably have leftover residual fear, which will probably set you up to have some kidney issues. And the bladder has to do with being annoyed, so literally kind of pissed off. So if you carry a lot of resentment and anger about somebody or a situation, you'll probably have bladder issues. So what I'm telling you is that, they tell us that health issues they run in families. And it's not true that you're born with a particular health issue per se, but you're born with the emotions that set you up, or the trauma that sets you up to weaken those areas that I just discussed. and then that creates the health issue that runs in families. So when you know how to work with energy, and Trailblazing Communications is an energy system that's, its superpower is helping you identify, locate, and shift that trauma energy and other things as well, but really helps you with the trauma stuff. You can literally clear your way to a better life and better health. And Trailblazing is a system that you can do yourself. You can learn and you can work on yourself. It's a very unique system. You won't find anything else like it. I wish I would have had these Trailblazing tools when my kids were little. I see people use these with their kids, clearing their ancestral trauma and having kids just blossom and open and let go of health things, energy patterns, alcoholism, depression. Our response and our coping mechanisms to that trauma energy that we carry, and we don't even know what it is, and we don't know how to get rid of it. My background, I was a mental health counselor for over 20 years, and I worked with people in all different situations, all different types of people. And you know, definitely we all process things differently, so what's traumatic to one might not be traumatic to another. It's how you perceived it and how you felt during it. I wish I would have had these tools to be able to work on my kids when they were little, because I know a lot of my ancestral trauma that comes down in our DNA, and I would have been able to clear them and save them from having to go through certain things that were not necessary in their life's journey for them to experience. So when you clear energy and you clear these situations, it doesn't take away the learning or the lesson or the drama. Trauma really shows up in drama. So drama can be how we react to things. It can be a health issue. A stirred up energy in our body can create drama in our body that is a health issue. How we see the world. If we carry a lot of fear, we might not enjoy life. We might wall up in our house and not go out. You know, boy, if you have the ability to dig in for yourself, because we affect our kids as well. So I'm constantly asking, what do I need to clear in me to be able to help my kids grow and thrive as well? It's really an important process, an important thing to think about the trauma issue. And if you have more questions, you can check out our website at trailblazingcommunications.com. We also have a Facebook page, Trailblazing Communications, and an Instagram account, Trailblazing Communications. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out, and I hope this information is helpful. Maybe answer some questions that you were contemplating. I hope that you take trauma seriously. Find whatever works for you to make a difference and change those patterns that were gifted to you when you were born.